One day, years ago, my brother and I were watching the end of a heated boxing match. It was really good. And we were watching the champ, and all the celebration and the confetti and the champagne bottles, all of that in the middle of the ring. We were watching all this celebration going on. And we both kind of remarked, wow, look at the boxer's coach. He is like overjoyed. He's crying and all of this. And it dawned on us, we were talking about how, we were raised by my mom and my aunt and, a couple aunts actually, and aunties and cousins and grandmas, and how they got us through our matches in life in just that way. And at that time, we thought about it. We said, "Gosh, I don't think has mom ever cried when we did something?" And we were like, "No, she's a different kind of coach, because she's the kind of coach who knew you were going to win that match all along, and therefore." She's not even in the center of the ring, celebrating and breaking open champagne and the confetti. That's not her. She's in the back getting the warming towels ready. She's getting the parazzi ready for your injuries and getting you ready for your muscle rub and all of that, because when you see her, you're going to be the one excited saying, "Oh my gosh, did you see me win?" And she's going to say to you, "I knew you were going to win. I was waiting for you to hurry up and finish the fight so you could figure out you were going to win." And we just laughed, because that is so my mom, my aunt, my grandmother, aunties, the like, was, "I know you're going to come against battles. I know that you're going to come against some matches in your life, but I also know you're going to win." And we remember running through the door sometimes to tell them, "Hey, I did this, I did that, I got this, I got that." And them just sitting there, "Uh huh, hey, baby." And it was that exact reaction of, "I knew that. I knew that if it was for you, you were going to get it. I was waiting for you to figure it out." And that's that's the idea of how I think. That's how I think healing facilitators should be. People who know the road, who know the journey, who know some of the lessons, know the wisdom, have the information and the knowledge. They know that you have what it takes to win this fight. They know that you have what it takes to win this battle. It's just a matter of being beside you until you figure it out. You are encouraged to visit the Coalition to Stop Violence Against Native Women. I'll give you the URL at the end of this recording, but I found a quote from LaDonna Brave Bull Allard, and she says, "The abuse of women is well known in history and tells you a lot about what is happening to our earth." LaDonna Brave Bull Allard. My apologies. I thought that would be a great beginning to talk about what's expected of rape healing facilitators, because there are many, many, many expectations, and these are just a few. Most rape healing facilitators that I have encountered in my journey have been people who felt that they were called to do it. It was a high and worthy calling. Because let me tell you, I don't think is there even one billionaire rape healing facilitator, let alone a millionaire? It's not, it's certainly not for the pay, but that reward, when I tell you the reward of having people trust you, put their trust into you at their most, man, At their lowest moments, at their moments of crisis, confusion, chaos, sometimes nearly suicidal, sometimes having just survived a suicide attempt. It is a high calling indeed. People tend to do it. Most people do it with integrity. They're honored to do it, and we expect people who view it just that way. So definitely, if you're going to work with rape victims, we expect you to understand some things. We expect you to understand that rape victims haven't been in certain situations or or weren't subjected to violence because they were dumb, because they were stupid, because they deserved it, because they were trying to be close to this star athlete. We expect you to understand that no one is deserving. No one, no one, no one, no one is deserving of rape and sexual violence. Absolutely, positively, no one. Someone who can't um, connect with this and understand it and get it in every cell of their being, in my opinion, has absolutely no business, no business at all, working with anyone on their healing process from sexual violence. We expect you to understand that adult victims have to be supported and empowered to make their own decisions about their care. Now, this includes rape kits, whether or not they want to participate in a rape kit. We expect you to understand that whether or not they want to participate in a rape kit should have no bearing on whether or not they are telling the truth, on whether or not they want to see this person, the violator caught, the rapist caught. It's not what it means. It just means I don't want to participate in this rape kit for my own reasons. We expect you to understand that whether or not someone participates in a rape kit, they still ought to be entitled to medical intervention and care. We expect um, people who work with rape victims to understand that rape victims may not choose to discuss the attack exactly when it's requested that they discuss the attack. If you work with rape victims, we definitely expect you to understand that rape victims are not unlike any other victim of crime. They definitely have a right to choose who they disclose their details about the abuse with. And remember, these are some embarrassing, shameful, painful, and pain that can last an entire lifetime. Shame, misplaced guilt that lasts an entire lifetime. Discussing it, writing it, putting it in art, singing about, I don't care. It's very, very, very sensitive. It's not for everyone, and we expect folks who work with rape victims to have a certain degree of integrity. Rape victims should never be made to feel that they ought to be grateful for rape victims crisis services nor responders for anything. Should never be made to feel that way. It should be recognized that we say rape victims, but insert human beings. Human beings have individual differences to include thinking differences, belief differences, and they have a right to them. Rape victims have individual differences and they should be respected. And every effort should be made to accommodate where there are unique needs, unique physical needs, unique emotional needs, those type of things when you're working to respond to a rape victim. Rape victims should not be made to feel that they owe anyone, and I mean anyone, validation. And let me pause there because it's been said that you know rape victims, I guess, are supposed to think about who they're speaking to. If you think as a black woman, I haven't heard some things. You the things I've heard folks say. But with that goes, if it's a person responding again and have integrity and have a certain amount of health, mental health and wellness within yourself, to understand that this person is angry, this person has so many emotions going on right now, this person's in the midst of crisis, whether they're crying or not, they're in the midst of crisis. This person needs support from another fellow human being who will not judge them or judge where they are at this time in their life. There needs to be no reframing about a rapist. I've never felt the need to reframe anything about a rapist because, first of all, I'm not a rapist. They're not talking about me. They're not talking about anything I did, and even if they were, if you're not healthy enough within yourself not to personalize someone else's trauma, I question whether or not you're the right person um, to facilitate the healing of others. You're gonna have to have some health and wellness for yourself, which honestly is why so many of us who do work, human service work, often we have our own aids and assistance. We have our own self care. We have our own counselors. We see counselors. We have faith. We have people within that faith who mentor us. We have coaches. We have all kinds of things set up to secure our own selves because that's what it takes to be able to assist other people. And the minute you don't think that you can do that, it is okay to step away. It may be temporary, it may be forever, but it's okay. We want people who work with other rape victims to understand that no one owes you the details of their most personal, most personally traumatic moments. They don't owe you that. They don't owe you access to their private thoughts, their beliefs, their pain. In fact, it's healthy for people to have boundaries around their own private thoughts, their own pain, their own beliefs. That's a very healthy thing, and we encourage it. So you don't want to go, you know, picking and prying and going through the weeds and pulling the weeds out when you weren't invited to be there, and you should only be invited to be there if you're trained and if you are yourself are well enough to do that weeding. We expect that people who work with rape victims are able to maintain vault like confidentiality to the extent that the law allows. Now, if you've ever been to counseling, you've ever been to a rape crisis on a hotline, if you threaten to, often if they'll say, if you threaten to kill someone else or yourself, I may no longer be able to maintain confidentiality. But other than that, I once worked with a counselor, licensed clinical social worker, in fact, and she was married to a police officer, and and the things she would tell me about their interactions around, cases was quite interesting because she had now she was someone that I, in terms of modeling, I was like, I want to have that kind of vault like confidentiality because her husband would teasingly sometimes ask her things about a case, that she may know because she knows the victim in, he knows the criminal in, and she was not telling. And that's her husband. And and those were my earlier years, and I always remembered that even husband and wife, professionals do not go home, and the good ones don't share names and this, that, and the other, and details because of their professional integrity. It's just that high. We expect people to understand, people who work with rape victims, to understand that rape victims are human beings. And so, if we're human beings, we may struggle with mental wellness, we may struggle with um, substance use or misuse, we may have disabilities, we may have, beliefs and thoughts, our own thoughts and beliefs that you may not agree with. We have values, individual values that you may or may not agree with, religious choices you may or may not agree with, like sexual orientation, partners, the type of relationships that we like to have, what we're doing in those relationships, cultural beliefs that you may or may not agree with, but that you will treat us in a non judgmental capacity, and that you are there to help us to problem solve. You understand that you are the facilitator. You are not the leader. You are not God. You are no deity in our lives. You are a facilitator. You are someone, you're a source. You're someone who may have some legal information. You're someone who may have some healing information. You're someone who may have information about the dynamics of abuse, or what I might be able to expect coming up in my next stage of healing. But you are not the divine or deity in my life. You do not get to make any decisions. I can still make decisions on my own. That there is nothing about being a rape victim that takes away my right to have my own thoughts, beliefs, religious choices, partners, my cultural beliefs, my faves, my likes, my dislikes, my opinions. There's nothing about being a crime victim that takes away from that. Now, the only thing maybe in a coma, because then people would be making the decision for you. Someone would be making those decisions for you. But short of that, no, you can't. And furthermore, who would want? What kind of person do you have to be that you come across someone who has had a part of themselves, the deepest part of themselves, their privacy, their consent, their bodies taken away from them? It may be seconds, maybe months, maybe years, and you want more, and you want to take. That doesn't make you much better than the first group of people they encountered who so violently took things away from them. You want what you want to be, and see, that's what we expect of people who serve rape victims. We want people who are going to come in and give more light, make you, help you to understand, your own personal value, your own personal beauty, to scream when you couldn't scream. to speak when you couldn't speak, to speak louder than you could before, to be more of you than you were. But understand that requires people who walk into it with only one goal in mind. And that goal is they just want to be themselves. They want to keep loving themselves. And they want to help you, facilitate. You don't have to remember my name years later. You don't have to remember anything I look like. Nothing about me. But they want you to remember how you overcame. That's it. Nothing about you, no features, no, they don't have to. It'd be nice, it'd be cute. Yeah, it's great for the ego. but, but no, I want you to remember when I come in contact with people and they're in the pits, I want them, first of all, to feel better. I want them to heal. I want joy for them. Oh, I want peace for them. But thinking long term, I want them to remember just them and how once upon a time they were able to overcome something they didn't think they could ever overcome. Maybe nobody else thought they could overcome it. That's what you want. So you're not there to teach these lessons and all, you're not there for that. You're there to make people feel empowered, more filled with the goodness of themselves, with the good, all of, good part, bad part, all of us have the potential for that. But to be more filled with just look how beautiful you are. Look how valuable you are. Look how special you are. How worthy you are. And that's what you want people to remember. And so this being a star in somebody else's healing is just I c- yeah, no. You don't want that. I haven't run across many people. I probably could count on one hand and have some fingers left over who truly want that. They just want people to overcome, be amazed by their own overcoming, their own healing. And that's what we want from people who encounter rape victims. To center the victim, help them find the light within themselves. That's it. And I don't think there's too much to ask. Do y'all? All right, thanks. And that URL is www.csvanw.org. CSV as in Victor, A, N as in native, W.org. Coalition to Stop Violence Against Native Women. As promised, that was information regarding the Coalition to Stop Violence Against Native Women. We started off with a quote from LaDonna Brave Bull Allard. And you may have seen the hashtag MMIWG, 2S, and it means missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit. Just a couple stats. 4 out of 5 Native women are affected by violence today. The U.S. Department of Justice found that American Indian women face murder rates that are 10 times the national average.